What is going on, guys, gals, non-binary pals? Welcome back to Nerd Explosion Weekly Podcast. We're based on a monthly theme and nerd out about whatever we want. I am Cameron.
And I'm Kate.
And today's episode is going to be a good one, and you're getting it for absolutely free. You're not going to have to beat an old lady with a stick to get this episode. Now, Caitlin.
Beating people with sticks.
Oh, you'll see what I mean. So, Caitlin, and for you listeners, the musical I wanted to talk about today, because we're in the middle of musical month, is what is known as probably one of, if not one of the biggest Broadway failures ever, and also has been labeled as one of the most dangerous Broadway musicals ever. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Is it the Scottish play?
No.
Oh.
You're gonna be way thrown off of what it is.
Then no, I don't know.
You want me to give you a hint?
Sure.
Well, a certain sense might be tingling.
Sixth Sense?
No, I'm just gonna give it to you. The most dangerous play known to like the community. I don't know if it's the most dangerous, but it's one of. The musical we're gonna be talking about today is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
That was a musical?
Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was a Broadway musical.
Huh. Okay.
And it's infamous for how much of a failure it was on Broadway. And it's notable for just so many different accidents. And that's the one I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
But before we get into that, new episodes of this podcast come out every Saturday, so make sure you're doing all the things that do all the stuff. But with that being said, let's get into Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Let's go. Go! Now dig on this.
Oh my god.
I hope you guys are fans of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, because I'm going to be quoting them throughout this entire episode.
I love this. I love this journey for me.
And if you don't like it, then see it, chump. Don't give me that look. Oh, little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry? Anyway,
you have these quotes written down, don't you? So
I have a whole list.
Jesus Christ.
Of quotes. And not all of them are from Sam Raimi. There's like one from one of the animated series, but literally all but one are from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, which is relevant because that's kind of what Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark is. To quote Wikipedia, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark is a musical with music and lyrics by Bono and The Edge, from U2, and a book by Julie Taymor, Glenn Berger, and Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Based on the Marvel Comics character Spider-Man, the story incorporates elements of the 2002 film Spider-Man, the 2004 film Spider-Man 2, and the Greek myth of Arachne, I think that's how you say it. Or Arachne. So it's Arachne. It tells Spider-Man's origin story, his romance with Mary Jane Watson, and his battles with the Green Goblin. It includes highly technical stunts, such as aerial combat scenes and actors swinging from webs. Quote unquote.
Quote unquote webs.
To briefly sum up both Act 1 and 2 of this play, it basically, I have it written down. I don't know if I want to go through it word for word or just kind of sum it up.
Yeah, just sum it up.
Basically, it's like it said, it's an origin story. It goes through how Peter Parker got his powers, how he was bullied by Flash Thompson, how he has a crush on Mary Jane, and then, he gets spider powers, and meanwhile, after he gets spider powers, it does a whole Uncle Ben thing, because, you can't have a Spider-Man origin story without killing off Uncle Ben. Poor guy can't catch a break.
With great power comes great responsibility.
God damn it, I was going to quote that, and now you took it away from me.
Got him.
It also doesn't fit, because I literally just talked about a man dying.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, this guy died. Well, with great power comes great responsibility.
He has a responsibility to die so Peter can achieve his full potential.
So Act 1 basically sums up Peter's origin story, Uncle Ben dying, and the reason Arachne is brought up is because Peter was inspired by that to use his powers for good and thus become Spider-Man. And at the same time, Norman Osborn, he's doing experiments and it catastrophically failed, killing his wife and turning him insane, turning him into Green Goblin. And then Act 2 actually does something a little different because a lot of the play is roughly based off of like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Right.
But what Act 2, like what they do different is that Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, instead of taking on Spider-Man alone like he does in the first movie, he actually gets together the Sinister Six, which if I don't even remember what all consists of the Sinister Six, but I'll look it up here real quick. Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, and Kraven the Hunter. That's just what comes up right away on Wikipedia. I'm sure it's kind of different throughout, comics, but at least the main few are Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, and Kraven. So Act 2, they're basically Peter and meanwhile, while this whole thing is going on, Peter and Mary Jane are their relationship deepens, but Peter Parker kind of sabotages his own relationship because he's like, oh, do I want to put all my effort into being with Mary Jane, or do I want to put all my effort into being Spider-Man?
Right.
After a series of misunderstandings and a confrontation with the Goblin, Peter decides to break up with Mary Jane to protect her. Ultimately, he realizes he must embrace his responsibility as a hero. In a climactic battle at the Chrysler Building, Spider-Man saves Mary Jane and defeats the Green Goblin, leading to a heartfelt reunion between Peter and Mary Jane as they contemplate their future together before he swings away to continue his vigilante work. So, basically the whole play is the origin of Spider-Man, Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin, and also figuring out his relationship with Mary Jane. There's a bunch of musical numbers, but I didn't really want to cover that because not really that important.
Right.
And I've seen some clips of the musical numbers.
Not good.
Not the greatest. They're not terrible, but they're not the greatest.
Which is really unfortunate considering that this was on Broadway.
Let's see. The other thing I have in my notes, following negative reviews, Spider-Man turned off the dark suspended performances for a month to retool the show. Sakasa, who was a longtime Spider-Man comics writer, was brought in to revise the story and book. The director, Julie Taymor, whose vision had driven the concept of the musical, was replaced by the creative consultant, Philip William McKinley. By the time Spider-Man Turned Off the Dark officially opened on June 14th, 2011, it had set the record for the longest preview period in Broadway history, with 182 performances. Critical reception of the opening was better than for the previews, but mixed, with praise for the visual effects, but little enthusiasm for the book and score. Spider-Man Turned Off the Dark is the most expensive Broadway production in history, with a budget of $75 million. In the week ending January 1st, 2012, it held the box office record for Broadway sales in 1 week, taking in $2.941 million over 9 performances.
Damn.
Until it was beaten by Wicked at the end of the year with $2.947 million. The production closed on January 4th, 2014 at a massive financial loss.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound like it was going to be a good show to begin with, but also I'm not surprised that Wicked beat it out.
Yeah, Wicked, I mean, for God's sake, Wicked is huge. I haven't even seen it, and I know how big it is.
Right.
According to New York Post, Bono began composing Spider-Man after Andrew Lloyd Webber joked, "I like to thank rock musicians for leaving me alone for 25 years. I've had the theater all to myself." Bono and Taymor, quote, "decided to give Andrew a little competition."
Got him.
So
they literally said, all right, bet.
They literally said, all right, bet. Wait, do I get a relevant quote?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Andrew Lloyd Webber was like, wow, all these rock stars have left me alone. And Bono looked at him like, I missed the part where that's my problem.
But
let's see. In August 2002, Marvel announced that Tony Adams would produce a stage musical based on the Spider-Man comics. Adams approached Bono and The Edge to be involved with the project. In turn, they enlisted Taymor to direct. In October 2005, Adams suffered a stroke while the creative team was assembled to sign contracts. He died 2 days later. Patrick Healy in the New York Times described their situation. Others might have abandoned the project, but the Spider-Man team decided to go on, with Mr. Adams' partner, David Garfinkel, as lead producer. An able entertainment lawyer. I'm sorry, I'm struggling reading today. Mainly because, just everything hurts, including my back.
You just wanted to work that quote in, didn't you?
Do you even know which part I'm quoting?
It's been so long since I've seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
So that was from Spider-Man 2, because throughout the movie he was randomly losing his powers, right? And there was one time where he was trying to get in the right mindset. So he's on top of the building and he goes to jump over the alleyway. And he's like halfway in the air. He's like, I'm back. Before he just falls. He catches the clothesline, smacks it to the wall, and then falls on top of cars. And then he gets up. He's like, oh, my back.
Oh, my God.
Because remember, they made a joke about that in No Way Home. Or they reference that. All three Spider-Men are together, and he's kind of, Tobey Maguire's kind of stretching out.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like, oh, what's up with you? He's like, oh, just my back kind of hurts. I'm like, I understood that reference.
Hey, I did. I understood that reference.
Anyway, about the lawyer, Mr. Garfinkel had little producing experience, and he ceded artistic directions to Miss Taymor, a perfectionist whose aesthetic included never repeating herself. Mr. Garfinkel did not take the tact that Disney had while working with Miss Taymor on their hit musical The Lion King. Her genius flourishes best under supervision. Readings of the musical were held beginning in 2007, but the production was delayed several times. By early 2009, the Broadway production ran $25 million into debt, the New York Post reported, and work on it was suspended. The budget for the project was reported in March 2009 to be a record-setting $52 million. On August 31st, 2009, the Walt Disney Company announced plans to buy Marvel Comics. Despite the previous Broadway success of their Disney Theatrical Productions subsidiary, Disney made no move to assume control of Spider-Man or help the production financially.
Because they took one look at it and was like, nah, I don't want my name on this.
It's almost like somebody was just like, hey, give me rent. And they were like, you'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. I'm really shoehorning in these quotes at this point.
Yeah, you really are.
I'm really just phoning them in.
Just trying to make them fit.
Where was I? In late 2009, Bono asked Michael Cole, COHL, to step in as producer, and by May 2010, Cole had raised the money to proceed with the project, much of it from Jeremiah J. Harris, former chairman of Live Nation, who was also listed as a producer. Meanwhile, the musical was eventually scheduled to open at the Foxwoods Theater on February 18th, 2010, but the production was delayed again until fundraising could be completed. Now, I have to go to the Wikipedia for this because, my God, this thing got delayed so many times. By November 2010, the production was estimated to cost $65 million. Previews began on November 28th, 2010. The show's unusually high running costs were reported to be about $1 million per week.
Jesus Christ.
Right? A new opening night of December 21st, 2010 was scheduled, but this was delayed until January 2011, reportedly due to a, quote, tremendous amount of creative commotion behind the scenes, as more time for rehearsals was needed. In December 2010, the official opening was again pushed back to February 2011, quote, to provide more time for the creators to stage a new final number, making further rewrites to the dialogue, and consider adding and cutting scenes and perhaps inserting new music. Ms. Taymor and the producers have concluded that Act 2 has storytelling problems that need to be fixed. a final postponement was made once again, pushing the opening to March 15th, 2011, in order to, quote, allow Tamor to fine-tune the production and instate a new ending. The New York Times reported that the show's opening would be delayed for the sixth time. Until summer 2011.
Jeez.
This latest delay included a shutdown of previews. The shutdown lasted from April 19th to May 11th, 2011, in order for the new creative team to implement changes. Preview performances resumed March 12th. In March, Cole and Harris said they shut down previews because they felt the story needed some work, the songs needed some work, and the sound needed some work. And that they were going to concentrate on those three areas over the next 3.5 weeks.
I mean, sure.
They also announced that injured Spider-Man stunt performer Christopher Tierney would be rejoining the show. By 2011, the capitalization was reported to have grown to $70 million, and as of the opening, it was reported as $75 million, compared to the typical $5 to $15 million for a Broadway musical. It included $9.7 million for sets and costumes, $4.4 million to rent the Foxwoods Theater for 2 years before performances began, and $2.2 million for flying equipment. The weekly production budget was $1.3 million.
So you're above a cool mill for just a week of production.
Yeah, they threw a lot of money at this. I guarantee.
And they're not making, it doesn't sound like they're even making a dent.
I guarantee even Hamilton didn't cost that much to run. Like, most of their money, I would guess most of their money was probably for renting the theater.
Yeah.
Because I can't guarantee that, costumes, because they don't have a lot of special effects.
No.
They literally just have, like, moving stuff. And, like, a lot of the moving stuff is people carrying props.
Right. And they kind of make it, like, part of the show.
Plus, I feel like Hamilton makes enough money back to make up for the costs.
Because it sounds like the Spider-Man situation is just hemorrhaging money.
Right. Like, they threw a lot of money at this, and, they got the money to do it, but it's like, at what cost,
Right.
So now, I'm going to move on to why this is considered one of the more dangerous musicals. In the Wikipedia, under cast injuries and additional replacements, 6 people were injured while working on Spider-Man. After 2 stunt doubles were injured during various flying sequences and rehearsals, safety inspectors from the New York State Department of Labor reviewed these scenes in the show, and in February 2011, cited the show for 2 workplace safety violations.
Oh.
The United States Occupational Safety and Health Administration fined the show... OSHA, fined the show $12,600 in March 2011 for 3 serious safety violations. The Actors Equity Association also looked into the incidents. One of the injuries occurred when Spider-Man stunt double Kevin Aubin broke both wrists. Another had, quote, broken his feet on the same move a month earlier. Natalie Mendoza, who was originally cast as Arachne, suffered a concussion during the first preview performance on November 28th, 2010.
What are they doing to these actors?
When she was struck in the head by equipment in the wings.
Jesus.
So she wasn't even on stage, and something just fucking knocked her ass out.
Yeah.
Let's see. She did not report the accident to producers until November 30th.
I mean, the show must go on. I get it.
Either that, or she was hit that hard that she didn't, comprehend. She didn't think to tell anybody until 2 days later.
I mean, when I was in high school, I straight up took a box cutter to the thigh and then continued to work for 4 hours.
Yeah, but that's different than getting hit in the head with something, suffering a concussion.
That's true.
Let's see. She appeared in the second performance against her doctor's advice. The role involves several flying sequences, including one in which she is spun upside down. Mendoza later fell ill, and America Olivo, her understudy, played the role during her nearly 2-week absence. Mendoza returned to the show for the December 15th evening performance. Following the preview of December 20th, 2010, when Spider-Man stunt actor performer When Spider-Man stunt performer Christopher Tierney was injured and hospitalized, Mendoza suspended her performance, Olivo again filling in for her. On December 30th, she announced her permanent withdrawal from the show. She was replaced by TV Carpio, with Olivo remaining as understudy. When Carpio was injured in March 2011 and withdrew from the show for 2 weeks, Olivo performed the role again. In that December 20th preview, Tierney fell 21 feet off a piece of scenery when his harness was not connected to the safety cord, leaving him to free fall through the stage and into the orchestra pit.
Oops.
Tierney was hospitalized at Bellevue Hospital Center. He was released for rehabilitation on December 28th. The December 20th performance was ended prematurely. After rehearsals for stricter safety procedures involving the harnesses, the show resumed with the evening performance on December 23rd. Tierney was released from New York University's Rush Institute of Rehabilitation Medicine on January 5th, 2011. He returned to the show for rehearsals on April 25th, 2011, and performed in the show on opening night. Carpio was injured during a March 16th performance, reportedly hurting her neck, and left the show for 2 weeks. On August 15th, 2013, actor Daniel Curry, who was playing a villain and also a Spider-Man stunt double, was hurt by apparently being pinned under a piece of equipment and suffered leg trauma.
They need to get their shit together here. It sounds like this is just falling apart.
Yeah, a lot of people got hurt during this, and the reason I brought this up is because, and I wanted to talk about this, is because I was looking for ideas for musicals to talk about, and I saw this comment randomly on TikTok. Like, it was something, it had something to do with, like, injuries in musicals, and one of the comments was like, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark has checked in. Oh. Let's join the chat.
Let's join the chat. That's funny.
Like, the sad thing about this is, like, I'm not going to deny it might have been a good musical. I haven't actually fully seen it, so it might have been a good musical. Mm-hmm. But it's just so bogged down now and just kind of forgotten about in lieu of all the things that went wrong.
Right.
Like, I get, like, some accidents happen, but, like, when 6 people get injured or when that many people get injured, you know, somebody's obviously not checked on something.
Right.
Like, OSHA's having a field day with you guys.
Well, it sounds like at the end of the day, it's just carelessness, essentially. Like, if you've already had so many accidents, wouldn't you take more precautions to make sure no more happened?
Yeah, right? Like, with this musical, like, they did all they could to put on a good show, but you know what? In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you.
Oh my God.
But I mean, you know, one person could have said something and be like, hey, how about we just look at these? Because, you know, one person really can make a difference. I got a lot of these left, so I'm just knocking them out as much as I can. But, you know, thoughts, feelings?
I mean, it sounds like this show was not worth the things that these actors went through.
Right. I mean, even, you know what? Even I could have told you, like, hey, this doesn't look right. You know, just kind of looked at the stuff because, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself. Just a lot of stuff could have gone a lot better. See, it's like, right now you're thinking, like, did you really want to talk about this musical or did you just want an excuse to quote?
You just wanted an excuse to quote these movies.
You just wanted an excuse to quote the Sam Raimi movies. But no, actually, no, seriously though, for super serial. Thoughts on everything?
It doesn't sound like it was a good show, and it sounds like it was more trouble than it was worth.
Like, it sounds like as far as like the musical itself, it sounds like it probably was a decent show. They just poured way too much money into it.
Well, yeah,
without even thinking about keeping the actors safe.
Well, and not only that, but if you're putting in $1.1 million a week, you would think that you have a safety budget in there somewhere. If you're spending $1 million a week,
like, when some of that go to, like, hey, let's make sure we don't put people in the hospital.
Right. Well, and especially since when your actors get injured, they're going to be out for 2 weeks at a time, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, most injuries, like, just to play safe, you're out for like 2 weeks, especially like a concussion or like something falls on you.
Oh, and then you get a concussion, and then they got you spinning up in the air, and then you have to be out for another 2 weeks. I mean, it just sounds like there was not a lot of thought put in past the storyline.
From what I read, the actor, the Ratney one who suffered the concussion, who went back to do the stuff against her doctor's advice. Well, that's
true.
That's on her then.
Yeah.
It's like, if you know you suffered a concussion.
But that being said, it should also be on the producers to be like, absolutely not. Your doctor said not to come back. You're not coming back right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
so there's fault on both sides there, I think.
It's fault on them for being like, oh, I suffered a concussion, but I just still go back to work. But it's also fine. On everyone else to be like, hey, no, stop. Like, you idiot, stop. But yeah, I did the scariest one I can imagine, like with the injuries and stuff, is being in the hardest, like, because I've seen clips of the musical, and obviously there is like, they have the Spider-Man actor swing, like, not just on the stage, but like over to the audience and everything.
Yeah.
And it must be scary to think that, like, oh, I'm safe in this, and then all of a sudden it fail and you fall 20 feet.
Well, especially falling through the stage and into the orchestra pit. Yeah,
because it's like, you know, falling from that height, it's like not a fun, it's not a recommended, it's a terrible thing. Like, people could easily die that way. I mean,
right.
I had an uncle that fell off a scaffold like that, and he's no longer with us.
Right.
So the fact that he survived that is nothing short of a miracle.
Right. It's stuff you have to be very, very conscious about. And to me, it just sounds like letting somebody up that high without double and triple checking that their harness is in place is just asinine.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just like double checking, triple checking. And that's why rehearsals are important for, stuff like that, because it's like, you got to make sure not just that like the actors are ready to perform, but also check that everything's safe.
Right.
Check that, like, in the middle of a performance, somebody's not going to die,
Right.
I'm going through this just to make sure, they mentioned the Sinister Six, and I'm literally not seeing anybody else on here or any other of the Spider-Man villains. But, I mean, it mentions Sinister Six, so they probably just kind of briefly, they kind of just push him to the side.
Yeah.
But, it's probably a good thing Shocker isn't one of the villains involved. Because you know what Spider-Man would say to Shocker?
I have a feeling you're going to...
You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth! I'll show you that later, but that's overacting at its best. It's from one of the animated series, and I think it's... I don't know who the actor is. I feel like it's the same guy who does the Spider-Man game, so obviously he learned a lot since then. But he just, like, way overdoes it.
Just went fucking balls to the wall, huh?
Yeah, just literally he's chasing, because it's a scene where Spider-Man has the symbiote suit, the black suit, and he's chasing Shocker. And as Shocker's running, he's like, "Get back here, Shocker!"
Fascinating.
It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, that's all I had to say on the Spider-Man thing. It was kind of short and sweet, but I just wanted to get it out there because I was like,
because it sounds like a catastrophe all around.
Right, because I was thinking of ideas for musical, and I'm like, ooh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was. They definitely need to step up their safety game.
Right, because I mean, like we said, you're spending this much money, and you got all this.
Especially since, again, you're spending $1.1 million a week.
Right, like you got all this money, you got all this power to make the musical go right, and with great power comes great responsibility. Like I'm not even quoting at that. This is like it's quite literally like applies.
Well, yeah.
Like it's like not just a Spider-Man quote, like it literally applies to the whole thing. With great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben didn't die for this.
That's true.
Uncle Ben didn't die for this. But yeah, any final thoughts?
No. I think we covered it.
No, ready. Well, that's gonna be this episode then. That'll I don't know what we'll talk about next week, but we'll figure that out as we go. And knowing me, it'll probably be a last minute thing. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Do positive things. Drink your water or whatever liquids you have on hand.
Big thirsty little rats.
I've been Cameron.
I've been Kate.
And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Nerds out.